Most people enter their 20s thinking that they have time to figure it out later, time to mess around, and time to coast. And while that's technically true, what most people don't realize is that your 20s quietly set the trajectory for the rest of your life. The habits you build and the way you use your time in this decade compounds just like money does. And that's why today I want to talk about the four best things that you can do in your 20s that'll set yourself apart from the majority of the people around you. If you get these four things right, you put yourself miles ahead by the time you hit your 30s. So let's dive into it. The first thing you need to prioritize in your 20s is your finances. And I don't mean becoming obsessed with money or trying to get rich overnight. I mean learning about how money actually works. Most people spend their 20s with a misconception that they don't need to be financially conscious because they can just make it up in their 30s or 40s. That leaves a whole lot of people either living paycheck to paycheck, stuck in lots of debt, or potentially just coasting through their 20s, not prioritizing investing or saving. The people who set themselves apart are the ones who decide early that they're going to learn how to budget, how to invest, how to avoid bad debt, and how to not live a life of instant gratification in their 20s. The easiest way to depict this is by running numbers in a simple compound interest calculator. Let's just say person A, a 20-year-old young buck in college, invests $10,000 just one time in a lump sum and doesn't invest another dollar and wants to see how much his money will grow when he turns 60 and wants to pull that money out of the market. Let's say for simplicity purposes, person A will get 10% in the market for these 40 years that his money's invested in the market. Now here comes person B, invests the same $10,000, but he's investing this $10,000 on his 30th birthday and also wants to pull out the money when he turns 60, and he'll get 10% in the market as well. Well, let me show you what actually happens. Person A is going to have $452,000 at age 60, and person B is going to have only $174,000. Now, isn't that a crazy perspective? In this example, person B misses out on $278,000 just because they waited 10 years to invest the exact same amount of money that person A did. However, person A just invested earlier and let compound interest do its thing. Time in the market is the most important part of compound interest formula, and many people in their 20s forget this aspect to investing. The other important financial tip in your 20s is to build a good emergency fund. An emergency fund will create a peace of mind and allow you to focus on investing, knowing that if life got in the way, it wouldn't derail you from your financial goals. I personally like to have anywhere around 6 to 12 months saved up in an emergency fund, but even just a baseline and a goal to start with 3 months of living expenses saved up in an emergency fund is a great goal to shoot for in your 20s. The second thing you need to prioritize in your 20s is your physical fitness. This one seems pretty obvious, but it's also one of the most neglected. Your body is the foundation for everything else in your life. If you fuel your body right and lift consistently in the gym or do cardio or whatever form of exercise you want to do, your energy, your confidence, and your discipline, and even your mental health is going to be increased in your 20s. And yet, a lot of people let their health slowly, not instantaneously, but slowly over their 20s, slip because they think that they'll delay fitness and they'll take it seriously later on in life, maybe when they have kids or something. The problem is that unhealthy habits now are going to compound just like the finance example I showed you guys earlier in the video, except it's going to come with a lot more severe consequences later in your life. If you postpone fitness, your health, and your mental health in your 20s, you're going to be left with way less energy, and you're going to be facing an uphill battle to get back into shape if you don't build that strong foundation of good health in your 20s. It's literally just going to be the exact same as the compound interest finance example I showed you earlier, except for your health. It's also going to be a lot more costly later on if you have to have a lot of medical bills because you're in poor health. It really sets the tone if you can just prioritize your health in your 20s. Taking care of your body in your 20s isn't necessarily all about, looking shredded or aesthetics. It's really about building the baseline of discipline and healthy habits for you. If you show up to the gym when you might not feel like it, you're feeling down this day, it's going to teach you how to do hard things consistently. Also, the other part of health and fitness is dieting. So eating better is going to teach you how to feel your body right to accomplish the task you need to get done every single day. Staying active is going to give you mental clarity that you need to stay focused through the tough times that you're going to encounter in your life in your 20s. You're going to get hit with all sorts of curveballs in your 20s, and you're just starting to figure out how to navigate these. Staying healthy is going to carry over into every other area of your life too. It's funny, but the healthier you are and the better food you fuel your body with, you're going to see that you're doing better in your career. Your relationships are going to improve, and also your finances are going to improve. It's kind of just a trickle down for every other thing in your 20s. So you don't need a perfect routine, but you do need consistency here. You need to take it seriously. If you're in your 20s and you're watching this, start lifting some weights in the gym, go for runs, go on that swim, get your body moving. That's the whole point. Put some serious attention and effort into your fitness and diet in your 20s, and it's going to set you up for success later in your life. The third thing that's going to set you apart in your 20s is increasing your skill set. This is where a lot of people get stuck. Let's say, you're standard American here. Finish school, you're going to land a job, and then most people will just stop learning new skills. They're going to collect that paycheck. Most people are going to rely entirely on their employer to develop them, and to me, that's a mistake. The people who pull ahead in their 20s are the ones that are going to keep investing in themselves long after the formal education comes to an end. Those people are going to build skills that make them more valuable for their employer, build skills that allow them to have more flexibility in their life. This doesn't necessarily mean going back to school. And personally, for me, I don't think I'm ever going to go back to school because I like working, and I was never a school person, to be fair, even though I went to college. But learning a new skill set could mean learning how to communicate better. It could be improving your technical skills. You could pick up some leadership experience, or, you could build something on the side. Like for me, I started this YouTube channel. And I'll tell you another personal example here. I learned how to fly drones at work, and with that skill set, I was able to earn a little extra income every year in trainings throughout the year. So just be on the lookout for how to add skills to the ones you already have, because it's really going to benefit you in your 20s. And typically in your 20s, you're going to have the most free time compared to your 30s and 40s to develop these skills. So you should ask yourself, if I keep doing exactly what I'm doing now for the next 5 or say 10 years, am I going to be happy where I end up? If the answer is no, I would recommend you start learning new skills. Because the more skills you know, the more, like I said earlier, the more valuable you're going to be for your job, and the more valuable you're going to be able to search for a new job, maybe a higher paying job. So I'm going to put a screenshot up here of just some of the most popular skills people are learning in their 20s to increase their income. So let me know in the comments if you're personally taking up any of these skills and you're trying to learn one of these new ones in 2026. The fourth and final thing that you need to prioritize is the people you surround yourself with. This one is so important, and I'm going to explain why. The people you spend the most time around shapes your standards, your habits, and a lot of the decisions that you make on a daily basis. If everyone around you is negative, energy sucking, constantly complaining, it becomes normal for you to do these same things. There's a saying out there that you're the average of the 5 closest people that you spend your most time with. The people closest to you basically act as your sphere of influence. Now, surrounding yourself with good people like this doesn't mean cutting everyone off or just becoming completely isolated. It means being intentional with who you spend most of your time with. Spend more time in your day with people who are disciplined, motivated, and honest, and have those ambitious goals in life. People who take responsibility for their lives and people who want to improve. Those are the ones that you want to be surrounding yourself with. These kinds of relationships are going to raise the bar for you without you even realizing it. You're going to start making better decisions simply because that's what's expected now in your sphere of influence and your 5 closest friends. And it's just as important as choosing the right group of people to surround yourself with as it is to distance yourself from the wrong friend group. Not everyone really needs access to your time, energy, or the goals and direction that you want to go with your life. That's not going to make you selfish or arrogant. It's just going to make you focused and make you prioritized. Your 20s are way too important to waste your time trying to fit into friend groups that are pulling you backwards or just trying to be accepted by the wrong friend group. When you put all 4 of these together in your 20s, finances, fitness, skill sets, and the people you surround yourself with, something interesting is going to happen. You're going to start to feel capable, and your dreams are going to become a reality. They're going to become realistic and achievable. Life is going to become less chaotic when adversity is going to hit you in your 20s. You're going to start building a life with purpose and fill your time with productive things. And that right there is going to set yourself apart in your 20s. You don't have to do any of these 4 things perfectly on the first try. As a matter of fact, it's going to take a lot of patience and years to really get in the flow of implementing these 4 things in your 20s. But you just have to start taking these areas seriously and improve bit by bit each year. If you do that throughout your 20s, one day you're going to look up and realize that you're living a completely different life than most of the people around you. You're going to be living a completely different life than you ever would have expected. One thing I want to make very clear before wrapping this video up is that winning your 20s doesn't mean having everything figured out. A lot of people hear advice like this and immediately feel behind, like they're already late or somehow failed. Look, I'm almost 27 years old, and I'm still working on improving all these things that I talked about in this video. That mindset of quote unquote, it's too late for me to improve, or you might have that devil on your shoulder saying it's not even worth it to improve at this point. That's what's keeping people stuck. Your 20s are not about perfection, and you're not going to be perfect in your 20s. It's about establishing the right direction that you want your life to be in. Another mistake I see all the time is people waiting for motivation to show up before they start changing their life. You're maybe even going to have months at a time where, let's say, your gym progress might be stalling out. You could get hit with a lot of unexpected life expenses, or you may have something happen in the family that could require a lot of your time and effort. What's going to keep you on track through all this adversity is your discipline that you built through the 4 things that I talked about in this video. You're going to build life routines around your finances, your fitness, your skills, and your relationships. All this is going to help you navigate the waves of life better. You also have to understand that winning your 20s often looks boring from the outside. For me, most weekends consist of waking up early, hitting a sweet workout, and then spending my free time creating content on YouTube. Now, I do have a lot of hobbies that I also do on the weekends. Don't get me wrong. Like I like golfing, camping, skiing, hanging out with friends. But what I do is I make sure that what needs to get done in my life gets done. I'm not going to procrastinate on the things that I need to do in my 20s to set myself ahead. It's going to take a long time to get this YouTube channel up and running where I want it to be, but I'm going to enjoy the process along the way. It's also going to take a lot of time to build the physique I want to build in the gym, but that's the daily grind that I love doing. And it's certainly going to take a long time to get to $1 million net worth, which is where I want to be. But I believe in compound interest, and I'll keep investing through all the ups and downs of my 20s. So that's all I have for this video. If this video helped you, let me know down in the comments which of these 4 areas that you're currently working on improving right now. I'm personally working on all 4 of these myself. This is a personal finance channel, but I'm also trying to improve my overall fitness in 2026. That includes just getting stronger in the gym. I'm also trying to add more skill sets, like get better at video editing. And I'm continuing to work on surrounding myself with highly motivated people. If you want more content like this, focused on discipline, personal finance, and building strong foundations early in your 20s, hit that like button. I'll see you guys in the next one.